Hi everyone, it's Emma, and this is my reflection on my AP Biology journey this year. It's been a year full of discovery, challenges, and growth, not just in learning biology, but also in discovering my passions, strengths, and weaknesses. Let's take a look at some highlights and lessons I've learned throughout the year. Here's the homepage of my website and my About Me, and also my Dear AP Bio student video. If you look through my search bar, you can see that I have all the different blog posts I've created throughout the year, a page for my photography, and another page for the investigation blog posts I've created. I'm super proud of the format of my website, and I've worked really hard on it. Next, we'll go to my favorite topic, epigenetics. The epigenome regulates bodily processes by chemically modifying DNA without changing any cells. I loved learning about epigenetics because the topic was totally new to me and I found it crazy. The documentary that we watched was super engaging and really caught my attention to this topic I'd never heard of before. I was also able to connect it to my research I'd done about breast cancer and how the environmental factors can really affect things. One thing I found most interesting about this was the effects that environmental factors can have on pregnant women, their offspring, and even their grandchildren. It solidified the fact in my head that you have to be very careful when you're pregnant about the outside factors and that anything can really have an effect on your body. Okay, now let's talk about my AP Bio blogging voice. When I first started blogging, I wrote really formally, almost like a textbook. I also wrote way too much. It was so wordy. No one would ever want to read that. I don't know what I was thinking. But over time, I found my own voice, a little bit more casual, curious. I learned that you can be concise. It's okay to show a little personality in science writing, and that even makes my blogs more engaging for people to read. I started including curious questions, links to other resources, and images so that other people would enjoy reading my work. When I made these changes, I not only noticed that other people started enjoying my blog posts more, I also noticed that I would get more out of them. And I dove deeper into the topics and learned a lot more about each documentary, video, activity we did in class, and I started to understand a lot more of the activities we were doing. Cracking Your Genetic Code was also another blog post I was very proud of. I was very proud of my curious questions, and I also included a really helpful resource. I enjoyed learning a lot about genetic testing because it was something I'd never heard of before, and I actually did more research on it outside of what we watched in class, which was a first for me at this point. I learned a lot throughout this blogging process, and this was the result of a lot of months of practice and hard work. Okay, next we're going to talk about the challenges I faced during AP Bio. Well, most of it went pretty smoothly. I say adjusting to the 9:30 p.m. deadline at night was very hard for me in the beginning. I do a lot of after school sports and I'm a pretty busy person and I also like to procrastinate. I found out that I couldn't procrastinate with this deadline and it actually really helped me to get my work done on time. I'd have to come home and just do it. I didn't have time to lay around on the couch and think about it. And my advice is just to start doing it, even if you don't want to do your work, even if it's something that feels a little bit tedious. If you start it, it's just going to go by way faster. I also recommend utilizing a study hall. That was so helpful for me during this process. I did so much of my bio work during it, and it left more time free for after school. My advice for future AP Bio students would be to find something that you're interested in inside the subject of biology. And I know this seems very broad and sort of obvious, but it was actually super beneficial to my learning. I have a big connection to animals. When I was able to make connections between what we were learning about and what I already knew about animals, I was so much more interested, and honestly, it made the labs so much more enjoyable, fun, engaging, although all the labs we do in this class are really fun. My favorite so far, obviously, was the field pig lab. I don't think I've ever had more fun, and I was dissecting an animal, which is maybe a little bit weird, but I had so much fun. I got to look at all the quality cards, and it was amazing. So anyway, my recommendation is to enjoy this class. It goes by fast, and soak up everything you can in the amount of time you have, because I promise you it's worth it.